Disclaimer. We are two regular guys who love to talk Bone Thugs and Harmony. We do not represent Bone Thugs or any Bone affiliate. We are also not Bone Thugs experts. The views and information you hear in this podcast may be based on personal opinion. Please feel free to leave corrections and clarifying information in the comments. And enjoy.
So my conception said, well, you know, Sylk-E, you like my niece, yeah. I want you to do this record. They had an artist name I'll never forget, Ain't Misbehave. So I wrote the record only because I was like, I'm a single mother. I got a baby. I don't even want to rap. Just put me on the writer team. I wrote the record. I laid the dummy vocals. I was writing the record for the girl. Girl couldn't deliver it. They sent my dummy vocals to RCA Records. RCA Records loved my voice. Next thing I know, within 3 days, they flew me to New York. I go to New York. I meet, with Kevin Niles, all the people. And they were like, well, we love your personality, your delivery. I instantly was a part of grand jury. Now, did I sign a contract? No, I did not. Did I ever sign paperwork? No, I did not.
Wow.
But we talking about 1996, 97. So before the millennium, the 2000s hit, we really didn't have, we had MySpace. We didn't have the tools. We didn't have the internet. So yeah, it's a deep story. Like I spent 20 years on the internet saying that I own the rights to all my music.
So, being as connected to the West Coast that as you are, because I had heard you say something a few minutes ago where you had mentioned like the Dog Pound.
Right.
So, did you have connection to like the Dog Pound even when you were on Ruthless, or was that after?
Yeah, well, the thing is, my homegirl Diamond, I love Ice Girl Diamond. She's doing her thing right now. She's on the YouTube. She's shooting videos. But anyhow, me and Diamond went to West LA college. So we were about 18, 19. And Diamond was like a Dog Pound affiliate. I met the Lady of Rage through Diamond. So Diamond wanted to be with the Dog Pound, but I'm like, damn, nigga, they barely treating Rage right. Shots out, I love y'all my folks and all that. But I was like, Ruthless giving out deals. So Diamond ended up being a part of our group because we actually had another member. Her name was Asada. And Asada was like she was a military rapper. She was gangster, but she was military. So Asada, she didn't like the way we was wearing khaki suits and shit. So she wanted to be more like the Black Clan, like the power to the people. So she ended up didn't want to be in our group. So we did recommend Diamond. We was like, she got, then Diamond was really with the Dog Pound. So we went through some shit like that. But
Diamond was a good pick. She's hard as hell, so she was a great fit for the group.
Yes. It was just magic. I got Big Chan, Sylk, Diamond, T-Ski. When Eazy-E said that shit, he said it with pride.
Which members of
we're not even fucking 20. We're kids. We're like shit.
Was any members of GBM wind up in Doggy's Angels, which I guess is like an offshoot of the Dog Pound?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Shouts out to Big Chan. She ended up being a part of the Doggy's Angel. So my whole thing is that like we were all from the family tree. And I just feel like if Eazy-E would have lived a little longer, I think that Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, they would have mended. Because, Ren, certain members, they stayed down, DJ Yella. So I think that Cube, Dr. Dre, and Eazy, they would have mended their big bridges. They would have became friends again. Because when we're young, we all fall out. We all go through ups and downs. But if you're not given the opportunity or the time, I'm sure that it was very unpredicted that we were going to lose Eazy-E. But I'm sure if another 2-3 years would have went by, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube would have been making records again.
With the connections that you had, you mentioned, like, Diamond being with the Dog Pound, and a lot of artists after Ruthless. There's a lot of artists that made their way over to Death Row with Suge. Was there ever any talks or interest with you going to Death
Never,
Row? That was totally
never,
off.
because let's get this straight. I was with Eazy-E. I was a ghostwriter. I was pregnant with my only child. So I played a different type of position because I didn't go in the game. Like, I went in the game kind of different. Like, I took my baby daddy with me. I was a single baby mama after I kicked his ass to the curb. I still stayed down. I didn't mess with him. I just was a hardcore rapper. So when Eazy-E, oh God, it was like when he passed away, it was just like different. The game was totally unreal. And it was certain shit. I've always been outspoken. So I might have just said something that triggered whoever because it was the truth. So I really didn't fit in because the industry became so fake. But with the Dog Pound, it wasn't until, because I never was a groupie. I wasn't going for that shit. So I went through the ups, the downs, the trials, the tribulations. And Snoop Dogg, once I made Romeo and Juliet, I knew Snoop. I'm not from Long Beach. I didn't hang with them. But once I made my hit record, Snoop Dogg reached out to my homegirl and said, yeah, I want to do a record with Sylk-E Fyne. So it's not like, after Eazy-E, then they looked out for me and they looked out for me. I went on to do my solo thing. And it was that record that made a lot of people JT Money, different, Too Short, Snoop Dogg. Everybody wanted to get a verse with me. But I already knew don't burn yourself out.
So you got connected with Snoop just a little later in your career. Can you tell me how you got connected with Pac then, and how you ended up having such a close relationship with Pac?
The relationship with Pac began because he had a group, Mouse Man and the Wicked, and it was Tupac. So I went to some type of little concert and I met Mouse Man. And so me and Mouse Man was kind of, but back then, that was before Ruthless Records. I didn't have a record deal. So I kind of sold a little weed and shit. So when I met Mouse Man, which was Tupac's hype man, I didn't like Tupac. I like Mouse Man. So Mouse Man, I'd take fried chicken, macaroni and cheese and shit, a bag of weed, and we'd be at the La Mondrian, at the hotels, me and my homegirl Diamond. So, Tupac would come in and shit. He'd have white bitches and he'd be like, he called us, Tupac gave me and Diamond, and it's no offense. It's not like we were hoes. That nigga called us the wino hoes from hell. Because we'd pull up, we'd have bottles, we'd have weed. I've been to fry some chicken, drove that shit from 38th and Norby all the way to Hollywood. Nigga, that's how so I met him through his friend Mouse Man. And then we just were like homies. And then as the time went by, I ended up doing music with Tupac while he was alive.
Wow. That's
real shit. You could tell Mouse Man to be like, yeah, because we used to roll up there. When the Indica first came out popping, I'd go take Tupac and them take all the rapper money. Like, yep, I got weed. I was the weed girl.
Something I've always thought about with Tupac, because I heard some interviews when he was in his group Thug Life. There's some interviews where they were talking about how Thug Life at one point had tried to get with Eazy and with Ruthless. Did you ever hear any of that, like, back then, or was that something that came in passing?
Well, Eazy-E definitely wanted Tupac. He was like, Eazy-E, he wanted Tupac on Ruthless. So I'm thinking, like, back then, Death Row, Eazy had died, but Eazy's plan was to get Tupac. He didn't want the Thug Life because he had Meniski Mobbin, he had Gangsta Drayster, BG Knockout, Coco. He had so many artists, But definitely, Tupac was like, we thought that was gonna be our label mate. Like
Wow.
Laurie Henry, the relationship that she had with Tupac, and it was just like I don't think I lived the fulfillment, the life of the friendship with those two brothers, because they always made me comfortable. Like I didn't hang with Tupac like before when he did Brenda's Got a Baby and all that. That's when it was 50 niggas, 50 state. I was rolling with Mouse. Tupac was his boy, so we hung out as friends.
Yeah.
And then when he did get with Death Row, it was just like shit, them the homegirls. Even though I'm with Death Row Records, them is the homegirls. So when we lost Eazy-E, yeah, I'm a part of the reason why Busy Bone made the record with Tupac.
Yeah.
Ruthless Records didn't do that.
Yeah. That, and you know, that it's you're reading the vibes because you know where I was headed with this, and you know that
Yes.
a big part of what we do over here is Bone, and you are notoriously connected to one of the most questioned and asked about songs, which is the original Thug Love. It was put out in '97 on Bone Thugs Art of War, but it started as a song with just you and Pac and Busy, and Busy credits you as actually the main thing that put that together for him. So I really want to know, we've heard Busy talk about it, but I really want to know the story of how this all came together.
It was just magical. Like you couldn't tell me back then, you couldn't tell me when that connection came apart. So I always got to give love to Shari Henry because that was Eazy-E's assistant. And it was Shari Henry that saved all the voice messages with me just constantly freestyling and just rapping to Eazy-E. And when she heard that particular message, she said, "You got to listen." They called me up. After Eazy-E passed away, Busy Bone was like, "I want to do a song with Tupac." And I'm like, "Well, you know, that's my boy, like from around the way type shit, not like on no record deal, but like I could get in touch with him." So then I got with Shari Henry and I was like, "Shari, you and Pac is hell of a cool. I'm cool. Tell Pac that me and Busy Bone want to do a record with him." So Pac said, "All right, Sylk on the record. I'll get down with Busy." So it was me, Busy Bone, and Tupac. That's it. That's all. Wasn't no other artists. It was a couple of outlaws in the studio. Busy had his little 2-3 security. Pac was on his way to go do, I'll never forget. That nigga was going to go do a Versace runway. He rolled it in the studio in Hollywood. We was on the corner of Cahuenga and motherfucking Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood, one of the streets, right? Pac came in there dressed in all white, fit the Hennessy. He went up in the studio. He said, "We're gonna do Thug Love." I said, "Thug Love?" He said, "Come on." He said, "Sylk, you want it?" I said, "I don't know. I gotta get my verse together." So Pac went in there and laid his shit like in 7 minutes. It was like, "I'll probably be punished for all living blind to the fact." So his energy, it felt like he knew he was just like, he was flying to Paris to do a Versace magazine spread. I'll never forget. Eazy-E had passed away. I'm back to having a weed sack and shit. I'm like, "Y'all, please, y'all gonna put me on the. This is gonna save me. This is gonna help me stay in the industry." So Busy Bone went in there and he did his part. And then I went in there and did my part. And it was just a good record. It was like Tupac died maybe 2 months after we did the record. And before I knew it, Ruthless Records took Busy and Pop vocals and added all the Bone Thugs and Harmony. And I'm like, they fucking cut me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Lazy Bone turned around and re-released it and said, I'm giving you some props, Silk. I put the original Thug on the album. You know what I mean? So then Lazy Bone went and re-released this great Bone Thug and Harmony album, and he added the original. It was just like You Got Beef with DPG.
Yeah, you know,
They
I was gonna
didn't
bring
want
that
me in
up.
the video. They
I
didn't
was,
want me in the video. I stayed on the album version, and they put Goldie Loke and Trey D on the radio and did a video. I didn't want to sign that deal.
Can you imagine how different things
Busy
would be?
said,
Well, let me just say this. Imagine if your version with Pac and Busy made it on the Art of War. Like that probably would have added years, to like extra Sylk-E Fyne albums, so
Right.
many, because your verse is fire on that. Like I
Well,
can't believe they didn't just
it
like
I
is.
do
add it
have, I
in,
do,
add the extra verse.
yeah, I do have the greatest hits, Silky Fine, the albums, I'm putting all that together. Because
Oh, nice.
nobody ever wrote my lyrics, and I never gave away my publishing. So it took me a few years to gather all the material and get everything. But if I was a part of a verse, I was a featured act. I never sold any of my. So I have a mixed up tape coming with a lot of the verses, the old school shit. And it's basically like a Sylk-E Fyne greatest hits. I didn't have to stay in the industry. I didn't have to make videos every year. I didn't have to do that. I'm like the Aretha Franklin of rap. You feel me? You make a hit, you live with that.
So
So
then, if you have the greatest hits coming, I know a lot of people asked when we asked if people had questions. They wanted to know about the GBM album. Like, will that ever see the light of day as like a release?
We try, the group members, we've done a couple of Eazy-E tribute shows, and we kind of try to revamp that. But I decided, individually, I talked to the girls in the group, but I'm like, Easy didn't live to see that. Had he lived and we really had a video, and, I was featured in the video For the Love of Money. So I cherish those moments. But if it wasn't visual and if it wasn't like Eazy-E, he saw Romeo and Juliet in heaven, maybe. He didn't live to give me that and say, damn, I knew you was gonna make it. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
knew you had it. So it's just like it's a missing feeling. And that's why I feel like the West Coast. Oh God, we've been wanting the West Coast to just be hot again, but I think our hottest times were the 90s.
I gotta ask you about something you had just said. Did you say you did a cameo in the For the Love of Money video?
Definitely. I was in the video For the Love of Money. Pregnant
Wow.
with my only child, standing on the corner straight slanging rocks. Oh shit. That's me
I,
standing with Eazy-E. So,
I
it
I
wasn't
love
a
that
hit.
Easy did that stuff. I love that he liked to mix the whole Ruthless crew together and show that.
That's what I loved about Eric. He was not afraid to work with female artists. Because remember, like even with the JJ Fad era, he had Terry B. Do you remember the white girl that was just flowing? Do you remember
Yeah,
Terry B?
we were gonna ask you if you had met Terry B.
No, I wasn't around then. I was probably 15 or 16, but I met him later, 91, 92, 93, when the NWA shit was all over the place. And in 93 we signed the deal with Ruthless Records. In 95 Eric was gone.
You
So
had
we're looking at about 2 years. Like I was in the last 2 years. Like I was like, you couldn't tell me anything with a record deal with Ruthless Records. I know Jerry Heller, I know Gary Ballard, I know Mike Klein. I'm in Calabasas. Like, yeah, that was a beautiful experience.
you had mentioned that you found out late in the game about being taken off of Thug Love, and Busy recalls the story very similar, that he actually didn't even find out until the record dropped and the
Right.
record came out, and he found not only that you were removed, which Busy said he was really upset about, but also just that the Bone guys were at, and he said, I understand the business, and it is what it is. But he found out late. Is that the same way you found out when the record came out?
Yeah, like I had no clue I was removed. When I did You Got Beat with DPG, holler at me. Like they sent me some paperwork and I was like, well, I don't want to sign that paperwork, but I'm down to do the video shoot. I didn't want to be with Doghouse Records, but I was a featured artist. No, they didn't want me to shoot the video. They took me off the video, but they left me on the physical album record sales. So it was just like, to me, they didn't want to promote women. They didn't want nobody to really like, where Eazy-E was like, I got HWA, Menage a Trois, JJ Fad, Terry B. He was not afraid to put the women on the forefront.
Yeah, Doggy's Angels got a good run, but you could always tell that they weren't the main thing being pushed over there.
Well, I love Snoop Doggy Dogg, but the thing is with Snoop, nobody's the main thing. You know, I did records with Badass, the LBC, like I ran with Lil C Style. You know, it was like eras of our coming up in the game to where, you know, Snoop, you know, he does a feature. See, one thing about it, when we all hung with Snoop and we were doing, I wish you wouldn't trust me so much. You got me. You know, it was a vibe. So the record sounded different. You know, Snoop went to Pharrell. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, the music started changing. I'm not taking nothing from Snoop Dogg, but like, yeah, a lot of us with the half deads and the Lil C Styles and the Dog Pounds, and it was a sound, Nate Dogg, and you know, it was just like a family, a sound, but he wasn't strong enough to carry the branches like Tupac and Eazy-E. And then when Suge Knight got wiped out and got caught up, it was nobody. I love Kendrick Lamar. I love YG. Shouts out to all the new West Coast artists, but I don't feel like anybody is holding it down like when it was Ruthless Records, Death Row Records, King T, the Alcoholics. You had Compton Most Wanted. You had Ice Cube in the Mad Circle. You had the Lynch Mob. You understand what I'm saying? To me, it was just like the West Coast was in the game.
Beyond the harmony for the fans we celebrate.